So our objective was, how will infrastructure investment boost the economy, and what are the costs and benefits of Trump's plan? In general, infrastructure investment has a positive effect on the economy and is considered helpful. It impacts macroeconomic factors such as GDP, increased employment, PPC, and an impact on the multiplier. Although the costs of infrastructure include increased inflation, the leading factor being the current unemployment rate being close to 4% already, the benefits of increased employment, economic growth, and other factors shall have a positive impact on America. What is infrastructure? Infrastructure is referred to as the capital-intensive systems or facilities, or in general, the basic physical systems of a business or nation. It can even expand to include research and developmental expenditures, as they add to the stock of technology and the overall available public information to be utilized by private individuals. Examples include transportation, communications, sewage, water, and electrical systems. Infrastructure impact on GDP. Government spending on public capital stock is directly related to the G in the calculation for GDP. When a government increases spending, this correlates to an increase in GDP. There can also be an increase in private sector output, such as building roads or bridges, allowing businesses and individuals to be more productive in the long run, freeing up time and resources that can be used to promote further economic output. For example, an infrastructure investment in a bridge may reduce commute time distances for truck drivers, enabling them to deliver goods to consumers more quickly and at lower cost to themselves, and allowing businesses to produce and deliver more goods to consumers. Recent research has shown that a 1% increase in public capital stock has led to an increase of private sector output of 0.083% in the short term and 0.122% in the long term. This in turn shall increase GDP for a nation. Infrastructure's impact on employment. Infrastructure investments are likely to impact employment as well. Recent research suggests modest reductions in the unemployment rate in response to increased infrastructure investment. In general, an increase in economic output correlates to an increase in employment. As an economy is making more goods and services, it shall require more people to produce them. As stated before with the bridge example, the creation of a bridge can allow businesses to produce and deliver more goods. More infrastructure investments have a larger impact on the short-term employment, although research shows that if deficit is neutral, it has no long-term impact on employment. Employment will also increase in the construction of infrastructure. A plan for construction of a new bridge or highway will require the government to hire construction workers to help build them, leading to an increase in employment. The creation of infrastructure creates new jobs and opportunities for workers in an economy, and jobs will also be created to run and maintain these assets. Akun's Law. Akun's Law, proposed by Arthur Melvin Akun, states that the increased economic growth shall lead to increased employment and vice versa. The addition of infrastructure investments shall lead to economic growth by the factors listed before, supporting the notion that the employment shall also increase. This is supported by Akun's Law. Although government spending doesn't shift PPC can shift outward because of increased economic output. Productivity is increased in many ways, mostly relating specifically to the production of goods and services. Better roads equal shorter time for goods to be delivered. Better schools make more productive workers for the future, thus increasing human capital. Businesses can utilize the infrastructure that the government provides to produce more or improve upon the technology they utilize to produce goods.
Now onto our LRAS graph. Like stated before, businesses can utilize not only roads and other physical infrastructure investments, but also technological and public information infrastructure investments. These things that the government provides improves the machinery and tools to increase output. Because of this increase in output, this will shift the graph accordingly. Infrastructure can impact the multiplier effect as well. The multiplier effect suggests that $1 of government spending may increase economic output by more than $1. For example, when the government hires contractors to build infrastructure projects, the employees and the suppliers used by the contractor have additional money as well, and at least spend some of it on goods and services provided by other businesses. MPC would increase as well because people spend more, inversely reducing NPS. The spending multiplier would also increase as well.
America has also finally turned the page on decades of unfair trade deals that sacrificed our prosperity and shipped away our companies, our jobs, and our wealth. Our nation has lost its wealth, but we're getting it back so fast. The era of economic surrender is totally over. From now on, we expect trading relationships to be fair and, very importantly, reciprocal. We will work to fix bad trade deals and negotiate new ones, and they'll be good ones, but they'll be fair. And we will protect American workers and American intellectual property through strong enforcement of our trade rules. As we rebuild our industries, it is also time to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. America is a nation of builders. We built the Empire State Building in just 1 year. Isn't it a disgrace that it can now take 10 years just to get a minor permit approved for the building of a simple road? I am asking both parties to come together to give us safe, fast, reliable, and modern infrastructure that our economy needs and our people deserve. Tonight, I'm calling on Congress to produce a bill that generates at least $1.5 trillion for the new infrastructure investment that our country so desperately needs. Every federal dollar should be leveraged by partnering with state and local governments and, where appropriate, tapping into private sector investment to permanently fix the infrastructure deficit, and we can do it. Any bill must also streamline the permitting and approval process, getting it down to no more than 2 years and perhaps even 1. Together, we can reclaim our great building heritage. We will build gleaming new roads, bridges, highways, railways, and waterways all across our land. And we will do it with American heart, American hands, and American grit.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.
Here's some of the basic facts of Trump's infrastructure plan. It will be for over 10 years, it will cost $1.7 trillion, and it will not be budget neutral. 80% of the cost would be shouldered by state and local governments, while 20% will be shouldered by the federal government, for example, like roads, bridges, and schools. $100 billion would be parceled out as investments to local governments to participate, and $20 billion for transformative projects, for example, investing in Elon Musk's Hyperloop. And then another $50 billion would be for rural block grants, which states can spend to their own choosing. The rest of the budget would be spent on infrastructure-related undertakings, including an interior maintenance fund that would provide for mineral and energy development and create a federal lending program. This program would also expand to allow the federal government to buy and sell land for economic development. Let's go over some of the benefits of Trump's plan. Investing more in infrastructure, as proven with other countries, lead to a positive economic benefit overall. Some of the specific benefits of Trump's plan is increased GDP, increased employment, a better PPC, and a positive impact on the multiplier. Although some countries can spend like 40% of their GDP on infrastructure, like China, and get a 10% GDP growth, some countries do not have the same fate, like Italy, which spent 20% of its GDP, but its GDP went down overall. Let's go over some of the costs of Trump's plan. One of the glaring costs of Trump's plan is increased inflation. 3 to 5 years ago would have been a good time for infrastructure investment because then the unemployment was at 5 to 6%. Now it is creeping below 4%, and if this plan goes through, it could lower unemployment rates to 1 to 2%, which could result in moderate inflation. Conclusion. Overall, the increase in infrastructure investment is a big benefit for the economy. Even though Trump's plan has a risk of inflation and a budget deficit, it should theoretically be balanced by the money that it brings back in and increasing tax rates, which should fix inflation. As well as increasing GDP and more productivity, this plan should secure the economy well into 2020 and beyond.